Oh, Foxy, it's your birthday. Not for real, just for play. This is Cree Summer, and Moana Nui will be right back.
Everything's gonna be all right, kid.
Got one fleeing on sub-level platform 1250. Blast them! Over there! Stop it! Don't let them escape!
Come on, Moana.
He caught me off guard, y'all. I wasn't ready. I'm not doing my piece as Moana.
Hey, it's okay to say you're welcome. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I love that song.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Ahmed, for being with us here on the Moana Nui podcast here at BlerDCon. We're really excited to meet you in person and just have a chance to ask you about some of the projects that you're working on.
Boom.
He was just sharing with me, y'all, that he has some Polynesian ink. So we have like some...
Very Polynesian. The shirt wasn't so tight.
He got the muscles right there. So you've had a very unique experience in the Star Wars universe where you started your role voicing Jar Jar Binks and then now portraying a Jedi Master.
Wow.
How has your experience and approach to these characters changed over time, evolved over time, and what does playing a Jedi Master mean to you now?
That's a really long answer to a very complex question. So Jar Jar, I actually was the voice second. I didn't get cast as the voice first.
Okay.
I was first like the motion capture. And I was just supposed to be Jar Jar's physicality.
Gotcha.
And then it wasn't until like the first table read that I got the voice part because I didn't know what to do. I had auditioned for the voice and I gave George like 6, George Lucas, for those who don't know who I'm talking about.
Right, Lucasfilm.
Yeah, I gave George like 6 options for the voice and I didn't know which one he wanted. And then like for the table read, I was just like, I guess I'll do this one. And then he was like, yeah, that one's great. I don't have to pay anybody else, so you will do everything. And then that's how like the voice stuff, and it's so funny, I get more people thinking that the voice came first than anything else. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause
Yeah.
that's what you hear.
Right.
But originally I wasn't supposed to do that. I thought they were going to do what they did with David Prowse, who played Darth Vader, and then like get James Earl Jones.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? Not James Earl Jones to play Jar Jar. That would have been weird. But I thought they were going to hire somebody else. Imagine if James Earl Jones
Would be.
the so-called Jar Jar Binks. That'd be weird.
I think there's a lot of people who would pay money for that.
I would.
Me too.
But playing a Jedi, I've always wanted to be a Jedi.
Okay.
When I was a kid, I was never like, oh, I want to be a Sith. I was never
Okay.
a bad boy.
Okay.
Bad boy, I was like too nerdy to be a bad boy.
Okay.
So Darth Vader and the Siths didn't attract me, but I loved the Jedi because they have constraint. There are things that they don't do. There are things that they decide not to do because of discipline. And I grew up a martial artist. I did martial arts, so it was very much in tune with my philosophy as a martial artist, which is like we don't use these blasters, we use lightsabers. And in order to use this, it can be more effective than a blaster, but you need to practice.
Right.
So you need to learn the art of this thing. So I like that. I like the fact that challenge and the practice is what makes them who they are. So, and I like the fact that they're diplomats, that they don't get in the middle of any politics, even though they do. But this idea of being learned, this idea of being disciplined, this idea of being skilled is what I really love about the Jedi. And so I bring a lot of my philosophy, martial arts, and so forth into Keller and Beck. And then also, I loved Keller and Beck as a teacher. I wanted him to be a teacher, and I wanted him to be psyched to be a teacher. So I fell into teaching, and I really love it. So I wanted somebody in Star Wars to actually love it, because everybody in Star Wars is just like, all right, I'll teach the kid. You know what I'm saying? Like Yoda's just like, oh, okay, we owe you one, because the whole dark side thing. So Luke, here, carry me on my back and flip over a bunch of rocks and shit.
Right. So that's really cool, because a lot of the conversations you hear online is like Jedi, dark side, which one are you? And I think most people would, well, at least the people that I know, they like the dark side. But what you said about Jedis having constraints, and like I feel like that makes for very interesting storytelling, because it makes the character easier to relate to as a person who is like not all powerful. You do have things to navigate. I like what you said earlier about how you didn't get it at first, but you ended up getting the part later. That, I think, for like our audience, that's very encouraging in terms of like sometimes we go after something in life and then we don't get it the first time. Some people get defeated and then they give up. But you don't, right? Like,
and this kind of goes alongside with this light side, dark side conversation, because from George's point of view, from our conversations, the dark side is the get rich quick. The dark side is everything thrown at you and you have no idea how to deal with it. The dark side is corruption. It's easy to get paid to do a thing. It's hard to get paid to do something from your heart, which is the right thing to do, right? So a lot of times people think that the balance to the force is a balance between the dark side and the light side. And that is not necessarily the balance, right? The dark side is completely out of balance. The dark side is corrupt. The balance is always on the light side. When you are balanced, there is no dark side.
right.
Rather than like, oh, there's a light side, but the balance, there has to be a dark side. No, there doesn't. There has to be a balance within the light side, right? And yet with martial arts philosophy, specifically Chinese martial arts, they have the yin-yang,
Yes.
right? You can look at the yin-yang as yin is feminine energy, yang is masculine energy, right? Or yin is hot, yang is cold, right? But you don't judge your refrigerator good and your stove bad, right?
Right.
They're both necessary in order for you to cook, right? So it's not about the light side being good and the dark side being bad. It's about having balance in both of these situations, and the dark side being corruption.
Yeah.
Right. So I like that idea in general of how you're a Jedi, and that's how you don't give up.
Right.
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 You stay in this idea of balance, and you might not get exactly what you wanted, or it might take a long time.
Yep.
But the balance is in the making. The balance is in the journey.
Yes.
The balance is the fact that it isn't quick, right? It isn't corrupt. It is what you want it to be. Exactly. It just takes time.
Yeah, I really love that you brought that up, because in Hawaiian culture, which is my culture, we have the concept of ku and hina, and that is like the masculine and feminine, and embracing both parts of that, because it's not one or the other.
Yeah.
You can't take it or leave it. It's part of it, and learning how to balance that. So I appreciate that as well. So we got 2 minutes. All right, so one last question. As you've gone on from being Jar Jar Binks as a character, we've heard a lot of different opinions on the internet, right? And that's like the accessibility of social media, and a lot of people have things to say. How did you...
Really? I haven't had that experience with social media.
Right.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, so as you were navigating that, how did you navigate that? What helped you stay in the right mindset, stay in that balance, so that you could continue to do the work that you needed to do and elevate yourself to new opportunities?
Yeah, it's hard. Jar Jar and Phantom Menace came out in '99, and there was no social media.
Yeah.
But the backlash that happened with Jar Jar was the first instance of cyberbullying.
That's a good point.
And cyberbullying didn't exist until then,
Right.
until the Phantom Menace. And there was no word for it. There was no practice. Now you can have an entire psychological practice based on cyberbullying.
Yeah.
But back then, it didn't exist. And it was challenging because you could I didn't want to come off as like, oh, woe is me, this guy's movie didn't do big numbers, or he's getting ridiculed for a part he played. And in actuality, it was incredibly damaging and incredibly hurtful. And now we know 25 years later that, yeah, it is damaging, it is hurtful now that we have a ubiquity of it through social media. So it was really difficult at that time because I was alone, you know.
Gotcha.
But now there are just so many ways that you can be well, and so many people who have experienced it, that the collective, the group of people help one another. So you're no longer alone. If I had to go through what I had to go through just so that could happen, then it's worth it.
Yeah.
Because it's much more important that we all find each other and that we're all together and that we all heal together
Yes.
than it is to be like this one example. Because I don't care what anybody says, nobody does this thing alone.
100%.
Nobody.
Yes. Yeah, in Hawaiian culture, we'd say like everyone needs their ohana, and that
Yeah.
could be like your actual family
That's
or the
right.
people who you choose to be your family.
That's right.
So definitely appreciate that. And after this, we'll count you as part of our ohana, the Moana Nui podcast. And we
That's
thank you
what's up.
so much, Ahmed, for your time today.
Yeah.
And we wish you a good con and hope you have a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure
Take
to
care.
meet you.
Yes, like to meet you too. See you guys.
So many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If they won't tell it, we will.
If this the land of the free, it was a freedom then. When they annexed Hawaii and called it cedar lands, without any type of payment and no signing off. Called themselves a republic in 1894. 1.2 million acres overtaken from the native Hawaiians. When they resisted, the West retaliated in violence and erasure. The Hawaiian language is banned as part of colonialism's plan to expand, yeah.
Stuck between a rock and a hard place. Multiple bombings of Kaho'olawe as a part of their ongoing war with Asia. Used it as a place for target practice. No consent or compensation. Colonizers call for annexation. No work out for all the locals. School will never let you know. So many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If they won't tell it, we will. Too many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If they won't tell it, we will. We will.
So if we put Hawaii into perspective, well, Black and Asian history is interconnected. Considering the fight with the Pacific, then of course versus Asia, they was treated as a middleman for war, but didn't let the Western colorism run its course. Cause dark skin was a sign of dignity to core. The land was taken in the name of capitalism, when prior to it was an actual kingdom. Clap back at the system.
Stuck between a rock and a hard place. Multiple bombings of Kaho'olawe as a part of their ongoing war with Asia. Used it as a place for target practice. No consent or compensation. Colonizers call for annexation. No work out for all the locals. School will never let you know. So many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If they won't tell it, we will. Too many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If they won't tell it, we will. So many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If they won't tell it, we will. Too many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If they won't tell it, we will.